The guard at Harbor Ridge's iron gates scanned my invitation, then lifted his chin. "Ma'am, this guest was taken off the list." I kept my breathing steady, slow in, slow out just like on the range, and slid him a second card. "Tell them Captain Maya Torres is here." His eyes flicked to the line under my name, U.S. Army Logistics Officer, and his posture snapped a little straighter. "I'm Captain Maya Torres, 34. For 11 years my family has treated me like a ghost. Alive but erased. In our corner of Connecticut, social death might as well be the real thing. I wasn't always the problem child. In our spotless sailcloth and silver town, I was the reliable middle daughter. The one who stayed late to clean up, who double-checked the locks, who never raised her voice unless there was a fire drill. My older sister, Serena, shone by design. My kid sister, Ivy, was adored on sight. Me. I was the one you called when something needed to get done. At 22, I made the choice they refused to forgive. I fell in love while deployed overseas. Not at a gala, not at a charity luncheon. Downrange in a foreign country where the air smelled like dust and diesel. He was a civilian trauma surgeon embedded with an NGO. Steady hands, calmer eyes, the kind of man who could hold a life together under a headlamp and a generator's hum. What I felt for him was simple and immovable. My family called it reckless. Dishonorable. A stain on the Torres name. They shut the door and turned the deadbolt. The erasure was thorough. No Christmas calls. No birthdays. No, "Are you safe?" when the news got ugly. While they curated perfection inside their club circles, I did what soldiers do. I adapted. I built a life they never bothered to learn. Then on a Tuesday an envelope slid under my apartment door like contraband. Heavy cream stock. Over-embossed gold. "Serena Elena Torres and Julian Ellington III request the honor of your presence." My sister. The same sister whose last words to me were essentially "You're an embarrassment," was getting married. A note in Serena's symmetrical handwriting was tucked inside. "Maya, it's been a long time, but family is family. Mom says you're doing well out west. Hope you can make it." Family is family. Interesting doctrine after a decade of silence. It hadn't been some petty sisterly spat. I fell in love on deployment and refused to renounce it to make their reputations tidy. For that, I was declared a liability and cut loose. Orders received. Distance maintained. Still, the invite made my hands prickle the way they do before a jump. I set it on my desk, lined up the edges, and let a colder resolve settle. Serena wanted me as a prop in her pageant. Evidence of how gracious she'd become. If I went, it would be on my terms. I started with reconnaissance. I'd avoided social media for years, but Serena's feed was a museum of polish. Charity balls and lake houses, promotions toasted with flutes of something pale, engagement photos on weathered docks. Hundreds of comments from familiar names. I scrolled through holidays, European summers, snow-laden ski trips. I wasn't in a single frame. No one asked where I'd gone. In their world I had never existed. The wedding hashtag Serena finds her prince, was already humming. I scrolled through an assembly line of photos. Engagement toasts, Napa weekends, monogrammed pajamas. The same faces kept appearing. Mom in her pearls, Dad in his navy blazer, Ivy grown into a Manhattan gloss, smiling with the club crowd like the last 11 years never happened. One Christmas photo stopped me cold. The whole family posed in front of a tree big enough to shade a platoon. The caption read, "3 generations of the Torres family, blessed again." A family friend commented, "So lucky to have such successful daughters." Daughters. As if there were only 2. I called Ivy. 27 now, married to a hedge fund manager on the Upper East Side. She hadn't blocked my number, she just never used it. "Why, Her voice thinned. "Oh my God, are you okay?" "I got Serena's invitation," I said. I wasn't sure it was real. She exhaled hard. "Look, I pushed for her to invite you. I know things were bad, but it's been 11 years. Things were bad? I kept my tone level the way we're trained in briefings. They disowned me because I fell in love while deployed. Was more complicated, she said, defensive. You know how they felt about that situation? The optics, the donors. She felt nothing, I said. She barely knew him. And since when do I need permission to fall in love? Silence stretched. You don't remember Dad telling me not to come home for Christmas? Or Mom changing the locks? They changed the locks because you gave someone outside the family a key, Ivy shot back. Dad was trying to keep the peace. Until I disappeared. I let the words hang. On the other end, Ivy went quiet. When she spoke again, her voice was small. Maya, I missed you. I did. But Serena was hurt. Mom and Dad thought it was better if she healed without reminders. A reminder. Not a daughter. Not a sister. Just an inconvenient memory. So why now? I asked. Why the invitation? She's happy, Ivy whispered. Julian is perfect. Old family, Harvard law, the whole package. He said maybe it's time to forgive and forget. To show everyone she's big enough to move past it. And there was not reconciliation. Optics. I was to be a prop in Serena's pageant. The wayward sister graciously welcomed by the enlightened bride. After we hung up, I sat in my home office, commendations on the wall, certificates lined up like a clean weapons rack, and let the anger pass through like weather. Elias found me an hour later. Bad call? He asked gently. I told him everything. You know what hurts? I said, voice rough at the edges. Not that they chose her, how easy it was. Like I was disposable. He took my hands. You don't owe them a thing, Maya. I know, I said, steady again. But I want to go. Not for them, for me. I want to see their faces when they realize who they threw away. That night I did what I always do before a mission. Made a list. Everything I'd built since the day they sealed the door. It was a long list. I wasn't just attending a wedding. I was making a statement. While Serena climbed Dad's firm and Ivy curated an Upper East Side life, I was busy. After my last overseas tour, I transferred to the reserves and took an operations role with a humanitarian logistics outfit in Portland. Moving medicine into hard places, stabilizing supply lines under pressure. That's where I met Ava Kincaid, a tech executive with a talent for spotting choke points. Over coffee she said, "You're wasted where you are. You should be running the whole show." Ava became a mentor, then a partner. We launched Kincaid Atlas Group, a crisis operations and reputation triage firm. We rescued failing companies from operational tailspins, rebuilt public footing for leaders in trouble, and re-engineered systems that looked fine on paper but bled in reality. We grew fast, stateside first, then overseas. The card in my wallet read, Maya Torres, Managing Partner. The annual report told the rest. $52.4 million in revenue and a pipeline that didn't sleep. Information is a supply line too. I kept a quiet eye on home, not out of spite but habit. I knew about Dad's bridge nights that bled into gambling markers, the state inquiry that brushed past Mom's foundation and vanished, Serena's after-hours drafting sessions with a married partner. I had no intention of using any of it. But I kept the files. Intel is leverage. Leverage is safety. The RSVP window closed in. Ivy's text stacked up. Just checking if you got the invite. Then Serena's really hoping you'll come. Finally, Mom needs dietary restrictions. I ignored them and called my PI. Noah Pike, he answered. I need background on the Ellingtons, I said. Especially Julian Ellington III. Old money, Noah reported. Tight trust controls. Julian's fund was generous but governed by a morality clause. Any scandal staining the Ellington name and the tap shut off. This family doesn't keep closets, Noah said. They keep vaults. Perfect, I said. Send the file. They don't keep closets, Noah Pike said. They keep vaults. Perfect, I told him. The night before my flight, Elias wrapped his arms around me. You don't have to prove anything to them, he said quietly. This isn't about proving, I said. It's about showing the truth. I packed 3 things. The invitation, Noah's dossier on the Ellingtons, and Kincaid Atlas Group's latest annual report. Sometimes the sharpest play is just showing up with receipts. Harbor Ridge Country Club was exactly as I remembered. Understated money in stone and glass. I handed the valet my keys and moved through the doors like I'd rehearsed the route. Ivy spotted me first. Shock, relief, a flash of panic, her face cycled through all 3. Why, you came. He hugged me tight but shaky. You look incredible, she added. I did. Navy silk that whispered wealth. A simple set of pieces that caught the light just enough. Where are Mom and Dad? I asked. Dad's with the groomsmen. Mom's with Serena. Ivy hesitated. Vaya, before you see them. Captain Torres. The voice was smooth, practiced. Julian Ellington III, the Connecticut Golden Boy, stood a few paces away, all square jaw and sailboat smile. Serena mentioned you might come, he said. She's a little nervous. I imagine she is. Today is about fresh starts, he added, smile tightening. I hope you can keep that in mind. Before I could answer, my mother's voice cut cleanly through the room. Vaya Elena Torres. Conversations thinned. Heads turned. She approached, regal as ever, a fixed social smile in place. You look well. The West must agree with you. It does, I said. My father appeared, cheeks flushed. Well. The prodigal captain. Then I saw Serena framed at the top of the grand staircase, a vision in white and nerves. She froze when our eyes met, the bouquet trembled. She descended one deliberate step at a time. Vaya, she whispered. You look beautiful, I said. Thank you for coming, she murmured. The air went taut, tight as a rifle sling. That's when another presence joined us. Pierce Ellington, Julian's father, influence radiating like a well-cut suit. Serena, darling, won't you introduce us to your sister? Serena swallowed. Of course. This is Maya. My sister. Wonderful to meet you, Pierce said, extending a hand. Are you in the law as well? This was the moment. 11 years of silence funneled into a single breath. Operations and crisis management, I said, voice steady. I run a firm. How interesting. The name. Kincaid Atlas Group. The words landed like a charge. Color drained from Pierce's face. A few nearby guests exchanged quick looks. He knew the name. You're Maya Torres, he said slowly, pieces clicking. The Torres who handled the Ravencourt breach. Among others, I said. Silence spread thin and total. My family stared like I'd grown a second head. Maya, Serena whispered, voice wobbling. What are you saying? I slid a card from my clutch and placed it in Pierce Ellington's hand. Then I raised my voice just enough for the nearby circle to hear. I'm saying the daughter you erased built a $52.4 million firm. And now everyone here knows exactly what you chose to lose. The rest of the evening blurred into whispers and sidelong glances. I watched my parents scramble to invent a story for their suddenly visible middle child. During the reception, Pierce reappeared. Captain Torres, he said. Would you consider consulting for the Ellington Foundation? Send a note Monday, I replied, smooth as a glide path. By night's end I'd handed out a dozen cards. As I headed for the exit, Ivy caught my arm, eyes glassy. Maya, she said, I'm so sorry. We had no idea, Ivy whispered. That's the point, I said, gentle but firm. You didn't know because no one bothered to find out. Will you, she swallowed, will you stay in touch now? I studied my kid sister and for the first time in years, saw real regret instead of rehearsal. That depends, I said. Do you want a relationship or just bragging rights? I want to know you, she said, voice small. The real you. Then call, I told her. Call because you miss your sister, not because it plays well. I left Harbor Ridge with the windows cracked and my shoulders finally settling where they belonged. The weight I'd carried for 11 years slid off as quietly as a ruck at the end of a long march. I hadn't come for an apology. I hadn't come for their approval. I came to stand on my own ground and state the facts. Objective met. Mission complete.